In this video, we're going to compare and order numbers that are written in fraction form, decimal form, and percent form. Let's take a look at our first example. We're going to place this list of numbers in order, going from least to greatest. Now you'll notice that all four of the terms here are written in a different format. We have a percent, scientific notation, a decimal, and a fraction. In order to compare them, we need them in the same format. For this example, I will be converting them all to decimal form. Let's start with our 18%. If you remember from the previous video, in order to convert a percent to a decimal, we need to move our decimal 2 spots to the left. So in this case, we'll end up with 0.18. Let's move on to our scientific notation. In this case, we're just applying our scientific notation, which tells us that we need to move our decimal 3 spots to the left because of that exponent of -3. That will leave us with 0.0018. From here, we can move on to our next term, which, if you notice, is already in decimal form. Therefore, we don't have any conversion to do there. We can take a look at our last term, which in this case happens to be a fraction. Take a look at this fraction. If you pay close attention, you can see that the numerator and the denominator have a common factor of 8. Therefore, we can actually convert this, or actually simplify it down to 1/8. From here, let's go ahead and divide. The 1 goes inside, the 8 comes outside. We know 8 does not go into 1, so we add our 0 and our decimal place. 8 goes into 10 one time, leaving us with the remainder of 2. 8 goes into 20 twice, leaving us with the remainder of 16. And 8 goes into 40 5 times, leaving us with the remainder of 0. Therefore, when we convert 8/64 over to a decimal, we have 0.125. I hope you paid attention to the way that I've listed these numbers. I wrote them one on top of the other in order to make our comparison easier. You'll notice that the furthest decimal place we go out to is our 10,000ths, and that happens with our 1.8 times 10 to the -3rd. In order to compare all of these decimals, we're going to bring them all out to the same position. Therefore, for 0.18, we'll add 2 zeros. For 0.108, we'll add 1 0. And for 0.125, we'll add 1 0. From here, we can go ahead and compare our values. The directions specifically told us to go from least to greatest. So let's take our smallest value. In this case, 0.0018. Its original form was 1.8 times 10 to the -3rd. From here, we realize that our next value is 0.1080. In original form, 0.108. Then we have 0.1250, which in original form was 8/64. And finally, we have our 18%. This list gives us all of our numbers in order from least to greatest. Let's take a look at our second example here. In this situation, we're given a story. We're told that 3 students took a test. Maria scored 15 out of 18 questions correct on the test. Well, it's safe to assume that Maria's teacher is either lazy or really geeky about math for not converting this over to a percent already. So let's do that for the teacher. 15 out of 18 is a fraction, and we can go ahead and simplify this fraction down to 5/6. Once again, as a fraction, we can convert it over to a decimal. In order to do this, we go ahead and divide. And you'll notice something about our division. we end up with a repeating decimal. If we wish to convert this over to a percent, we have to keep that repeating decimal in mind. This would become 83.3 repeating percent. So Maria's percent is 83.3 repeating percent. Kelvin, okay, well this is how we know that the teacher is really geeky about his or her math, because of the fact that the score was converted to a scientific notation. Well, let's take it and go with it. 7.6 times 10 to the negative 2 is another application of our scientific notation. We move our decimal 2 spots to the left, and we all know why that happens. Our exponent tells us so. We will end up with 0.076, which as a percent works out to be 7.6%. I'm starting to think that the teacher put it into scientific notation to save Kelvin the embarrassment. Let's go ahead and convert our final score here, which was Abdul, and actually found out that this is already in percent form. So when we compare the three, we can see which score is the highest, which one is the lowest, and which one is in the middle. Now we pay attention to the directions. The directions specifically tell us here to go from greatest to least. So the person who had the highest score was Maria, with her 83.3 repeating percent. From here we had Abdul with his 81%. And finally, poor Kelvin, who didn't study, scoring 7.6%. This is our list for this particular question.
Minji Cho, please come to the main office. Minji Cho, please come to the main office.
Hopefully this video helped you. Please look forward to future videos, especially ones for general fraction, decimal, and percent review. Those should be posted by the end of tonight.